All right, let's get on the road to May the 29th. Former President Jacob Zuma remains the face and president of the Umkhonto weSizwe Party. This was confirmed by the Electoral Commission of South Africa earlier today. Jabulani Khumalo, the man who started the MK Party, asking the IEC to remove Zuma from the ballot. In his letter, Khumalo claims that he was removed from his party unprocedurally, but the IEC has since dashed any hopes of Zuma's removal. It says it only acts on the instruction of the registered leader of the party, who is, in this case, former President Jacob Zuma. All right, let's get some reaction now. And joining me in studio is IEC chairperson Mosotho Moepya. Mr. Moepya, good evening to you, and thank you very much for your time.
Good evening to you, Claudia, and the viewers. And let us join those that are looking at the situation in the Western Cape, and heartbroken as we are as a nation, pass our condolences to those who have lost loved ones, to those that are injured, wish them a speedy recovery.
Thank you.
And thank those that are working hard around that event.
Yes, yes, indeed. And I get a sense that this is a moment that has captivated you as well, because you came in a little earlier, you sat for some 15 minutes, and I think you lived through those 10 minutes or so that on either end, the two survivors were being brought out. It is an incredible moment.
It is.
Indeed, for the country. Thank you. Thank you for expressing your thoughts that they are, I think, in all our thoughts, the people in the Western Cape. All right, let's get on then to why we have brought you here.
Yes.
You have received a letter from Mr. Jabulani Khumalo. That letter, he says, former President Jacob Zuma is a consultant in this party, but you, the IEC, are saying he is the man that is recognized by yourselves as the IEC. Why?
You know, for us it's pretty simple. It may appear difficult and fuzzy to all of you. To us, the leader of the party when it was formed was Mr. Khumalo. Mr. Khumalo later informed us that he is going to hand over the leadership role to Mr. Zuma.
Did he do that in writing?
It was done in writing. The law requires that we do these things in writing, and they did that in writing. And so we recognize Mr. Zuma, not because we have made that decision as the IEC, but because the leader of the party indicated to us that that leadership baton has passed from him to Mr. Zuma. That's where we are.
And so whatever that Mr. Khumalo says now is of no consequence. What would happen if he went to court and tried to remove former President Jacob Zuma legally so? At which point would he be recognized by the IEC?
We will recognize him. I imagine if there's an order of court that says, Electoral Commission, in terms of the provisions of your Electoral Act, now recognize Mr. Khumalo as the leader of the party. We will do so. But, you know, this is not a new thing. We often see it where there's, you know, strife from within the party, and one day we are informed this person is the leader, the next day it's the next person, and so on and so forth. We are now able to deal with those things, and the courts, the Electoral Court in particular, is better placed to deal with such matters. And we'll deal with them when they arise. For now, in this instance, we do not think we are sitting with an unclear position. The position is clear to us. The leader of the party is Mr. Zuma. We haven't received anything that says his leadership is being contested. And it's not because we, you know, it's us that say so. It's because we are informed by the party itself.
I would like to tackle the element of the MK party
Yes.
from a different standpoint. It's a fascinating time for the IEC, Mr. Moepya.
It's a difficult time.
It is a difficult time. So yeah. I want to ask now, on the basis of a report I saw on News 24.
Yes.
This report talks about Zuma's eligibility to stand as a leader of the MK, given that he is now a convicted person at the same time. A little earlier you invoked the electoral court. That's the court that you are now taking to the constitutional court to say to them, this individual was sentenced to jail for more than 12 months without the option of a fine, and therefore, legally, he cannot be a lawmaker. He can't go to parliament, in other words. So you are challenging this, but very interesting in this story of the News 24, because they're saying that, in fact, they're quoting your court papers where you say, and I quote, there is substantial risk of a disputed electoral outcome if Mr. Zuma is allowed to stand. Are you able to explain that to us? I know I'm dragging you into a space that you would rather not, but try.
I'm not going to let you drag me into the courtroom. The court on Friday, as we know, on a serious note, on Friday, the court is going to sit and hear arguments that are presented by both MK and the MK party and Mr. Zuma as representatives and our own representatives. But let me be clear. The issue that is in court on Friday, it's an issue of principle and clarity of the law. It must help all of us to understand when and how we apply Section 47(1)(e). It's not the first time we apply that section, but we have a new set of circumstances that we know have been argued in court, that we know that the judges of the Electoral Court also had to deal with. And in the specific issue, Section 47(1)(e), there are three different judgments or interpretations. That must tell every one of us that indeed the highest court in the land must help all of us to interpret that section once and for all. It is important because it is a section that can, in fact, impact the freeness and the fairness of an election. And that's why we want that clarity. It is not an issue, and I hear often people saying, yeah, the IEC is fighting with the MK party and the former president. No. You will recall that when we took the decision from the objection, our view was that he must be removed as a candidate because that objection, in our view, was successful.
Yes.
The court said no. And we honored the court. We said, fine, we are going to leave his name on, but we need clarity on what it is that we have done wrong. And that really is the clarity that's going to come on Friday or shortly after Friday.
I think without, again, dragging you into matters that are going to be discussed at court, what is of interest is if it is allowed to stand, as you put it a little earlier, it could affect the freeness and fairness of the election. In what way?
If we don't know that, if we had removed him and we said because we are appealing, he must stay out of the race, and the courts say no, he shouldn't have been removed, we would have acted unlawfully. If, on the other hand, he should not be standing and we let him stand, it is also unlawful. So what is the best thing to do? We've got to do the right thing. We've got to clarify that position, and do that which is right in terms of the interpretation that lawfully is obtained from this court.
Therefore, the Constitutional Court has got to come to a decision before May the 29th. Is that the standpoint? Is that part of the urgency here?
We have asked for that. That's why the agency.
I'm afraid I can't move any further.
No, it's clear. It's really, people have made this issue an issue that, you know, we are, following things we shouldn't follow. This is electoral practice that must be so clear to everyone at its best.
Yeah.
And we, as the Electoral Commission, will not shy away from clarifying it. It shouldn't be that we are acting unfairly against this party or the candidate, but also at the same time, we shouldn't be giving advantage to a party or a candidate unlawfully.
Feel free to dismiss me completely on this one. I'm ending the conversation. But I wonder whether you would opine at all on the integrity of Parliament, where a person that has been convicted by a court, and exactly as you say, that's part of the reason why you are going to the Constitutional Court, to get clarity. Because if you allow him to stand, and it later turns out that he shouldn't have been eligible to go to Parliament, that would have been a mistake on your part. How would that affect the integrity of Parliament?
Well, I imagine our job at the moment, our mandate, is to qualify candidates who may end up in Parliament. But, you know, this is not a static process. It happens even once people have qualified as candidates and are now in Parliament. That we wouldn't have anything to deal with, and I imagine that Parliament will find ways of dealing with. But it is important, and I think the relief we got was the fact that, as you would have recalled, there were many people who criticized us and said, we shouldn't have gotten involved in Section 47(1)(e). This is a matter that's dealt with in Parliament, and why did we get involved? And we are grateful that the court has vindicated us, that indeed we do have a duty to qualify people in terms of that provision. But once we have handed this baton over, I imagine Parliament will have processes to deal with those matters going forward. That I wouldn't know what they have and how they deal with it. But for us, it's clear. You've got to, a party fielding candidate must warrant that those are candidates that qualify in terms of the Constitution, and the provisions of the Constitution include Section 47(1)(e). That's straightforward for us.
Parting shot, do you have a problem with the former president asking for certain judges at the Constitutional Court to recuse themselves, or is that a matter that you just simply cannot even comment on?
Well, let's hear the issues being argued in court. We are interested in this matter being brought to finality as soon as possible. The 29th of May is just around the corner, and we do need the certainty. In our view, the judges are free or must sit and hear this matter. In our view, this is not a matter that reopens the old matter, it clarifies it. There is no second judgment to be had on that matter. It's clarity that we seek in this. But those are matters that others are better placed to deal with. We are seeking for the clarity that we have gone to court to seek.
Mosotho Moepya, let me thank you very much for your time.